So Ryan Grubb, what's up, AAA family and all my sports fans out there? Appreciate you for checking in here on the Coach Smook Network, talking some Alabama football. You know we love our college football here, but before we get into it, because I promise you, this conversation here, you're going to want to be a part of it. Take a moment, hit the thumbs up on the video, share this video, share the content, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I appreciate all the support. We're on our way to 3K at the time of this video, so your subscription, which is free, will help us get to our goal. Thank you. Ryan Grubb is now back with Kalen DeBoer, Nick Sheridan, and Jamarcus Russell and the rest of the gang at the University of Alabama, and this staff is pumped and ready. We have had a very overwhelmingly positive response from the Alabama fan base, but you also have that part of the fan base that seriously doubts that Ryan Grubb is the answer to fixing Alabama's problem. Some believe there may be a philosophy clash with it being in the SEC and saying that that style of offense won't survive, that they don't run the ball enough. But I want to dive deeper into the topic and really expose some of the things that Ryan Grubb brings to the table. Now, before we get into that, we have to do a little history and go back to why just the hire alone makes sense. We've done multiple videos, we've done multiple lives, and we've done multiple podcasts just kind of explaining, breaking it down how we believe this was just the match made in heaven, how it was destined to be. I believe it was a part of the original plan to have Ryan Grubb and Scott Huff come over with the staff to dive into it all, just the history between Ryan Grubb and Kalen DeBoer. So when Ryan Grubb started his official college coaching career, he started at the NAIA level with Coach Kalen DeBoer at South Dakota State in 2007. And up until their departure at Washington, Coach Ryan Grubb has been with Kalen DeBoer. When Kalen DeBoer went as an offensive coordinator, Ryan Grubb was there as either offensive line coach, running back coach, some type of coordinator assistant. So you stop there and you think about 2007 up until now, 2025. He has done one job as a college coach: call offensive plays. So if there's any situation that's been played out over the last 15 plus years, I think he has more than enough experience to put together a solid game plan with the amount of talent he has accessible at the University of Alabama on that roster. Now, fast forward to the transition. We all remember the announcement: I will be your offensive coordinator. He said this to the boosters, and then a day later, he's announced as the offensive coordinator at the Seattle Seahawks. The season goes by, the Seahawks have a productive season. They literally missed the playoffs by one game, and it definitely wasn't at fault of the offensive play calling. Now, the offensive run game, it did suffer, but it was due to a lack of personnel. Fast forward, we see Ryan Grubb get fired from the Seattle Seahawks in January. Then a month later, a little bit over a month later, we see him get hired officially by the University of Alabama and is named the offensive coordinator. I want to dive into this. I want to briefly expose every step of Ryan Grubb's career and how at every stop he and Kalen DeBoer's offensive philosophy create quality production we can classify as elite. So by the time Coach Ryan Grubb became a full-time play caller, he had gathered 10 years of experience of coaching beside Kalen DeBoer, who was getting jobs as an offensive coordinator at every stop. And at every stop that Kalen DeBoer went, Ryan Grubb went. When Fresno State promoted Kalen DeBoer to the head coach in 2019, Ryan Grubb was promoted as an associate head coach and the offensive coordinator and was getting the full-time play calling duties. And that was his first year at the FBS level as a play caller. So I like to look at the Kalen DeBoer, Ryan Grubb as a situation where we have two great offensive minds. And a lot of people like to say it's DeBoer's system, Ryan Grubb calls the plays. But I think two things can be true at the same time. I like to look at Kalen DeBoer as the cook. Now, when you label somebody as a cook, does that mean that everything that they cook, is it always going to be dressed up? Is it going to have pizzazz? Is it going to be appealing to the eyes? No. You know who does do that? Who cooks and they do the extra to go the extra mile to make sure that your steak has the right burn marks and that the tenderness of your ribs, when you pick up the rib, the meat falls off the bone. I'm sorry. I get carried away when I talk about food.
Stop it. Get some help.
I look at Kalen DeBoer as the cook, and I look at Ryan Grubb as the chef. It's okay. You can be the cook. Mom cooks. Man, I love my mom's cooking. But there's certain things that mom cooks that when we have a chef prepare that same type of dish or entree, it has a different type of feel. It has a different type of look. And you know what happens? Those chefs are usually students. They go to school and they learn from somebody who set a standard. And they take those skill sets, they learn the basics, and they begin to create on their own. And that's what Ryan Grubb did with Kalen DeBoer's philosophy and system. So now you have the match made in heaven. You have the chemistry, and you have this cook and this chef. You have the master chef, who's the cook, who's done serving, right? It's kind of just overseeing and managing in the restaurant. And now you have the lead chef, right? That's on the floor, in Ryan Grubb. And let's talk about some of the production he created. So before we could really see the impact of Ryan Grubb's offense, and we're just going to focus on the offense, not necessarily the whole team aspect or necessarily what conference or level of competition. We're just talking about pure coaching and production right now. And Fresno State, the year before Ryan Grubb became the offensive coordinator. This is the year before, well, 2 years before he became the offensive coordinator. They had a very senior team at Fresno State. They actually won their conference out there at the MAC, in the Mountain West. I'm sorry. Fresno State was a very competitive team in 2018. This team was getting top 15 rankings at one point during the season. So this was not a pushover team. You look at their schedule, some of the games that they were really close in. You look at a Minnesota team, a Big Ten team that should outmatch them at this time during college football, this era of college football, 2018. We weren't in the portal era. So Fresno State was very limited on their recruiting, who they were getting. Let's go back to 2018. Some of the statistics put up. And these are really concurrent with what we saw with, when we think about it, just off top of the head, some of the numbers we saw with Michael Penix at Washington, what we saw with the quarterback when Kalen DeBoer was the head coach in 2020, the 2 years he was the head coach at Fresno State. So this system and Ryan Grubb's play calling is going to produce. Anytime you give these two guys, this duo, 2 years, that second year, they always exceed the clip. You look at some of the numbers, man. Wait. Before we continue in this video, if you're enjoying it, if you're enjoying the conversation, make sure you drop a like on this video. And if you're really enjoying it and you want to create more conversation, you have other Bama fans who might not agree that Ryan Grubb is the hire, share the content. It's going to help us grow. It's going to push us out there in the algorithm. So when more people look for Alabama football content, they come right here and join the AAA family at the Coach Smook Network. I appreciate you for joining. Hey, and shout out to all of our sponsors, man. Back to the video. So you look at the numbers. Receiving numbers, they're going to pass the ball. And you're going to see similar numbers when we look at the Alabama stats under Nick Sheridan. Because I have a case for Nick Sheridan being a decent play caller for his first time being a full-time play caller at this level. You look at the carries. Look how many carries the running backs have. 177. So we kind of get an idea of this system. Now let's go to the next year. 2020, first year under Ryan Grubb. Look what happens as far as development. You got Rayner right there. Let's go to 2020. You got Hayner coming in, the young guy. He comes in. First year under Ryan Grubb. Offensive numbers are still kind of consistent. Season is cut short also. This is a COVID year. So 6 games in, if we were to multiply this times 2, because you got 12 games in the season, these numbers would be similar. Can we just have that thought? These numbers can be similar to what you saw with this experienced team. You take the 2020 numbers, 2,000 yards, 6 games in. Ryan Grubb was dialing it up. Look at the numbers. Completion percentage, higher than 50%. Something we saw consistently no matter what year the quarterback was in, as far as understanding the system, a high completion percentage rate. Even saw from Jalen Milroe, believe it or not, had a high completion percentage rate. Touchdown to interception ratio was not the best. You didn't see the spread that you want to see from a explosive offense. But these numbers are consistent. You got a bell cow in the running back room, and then you have a good offset. And this is, you remember, let's multiply this times 2. They only played half a season. So maybe he gets 200 carries. Maybe he has 1,000 yards. Maybe he gets 50, 60 carries. Maybe he has 500 yards, right? 600 yards. The average per carries. So the run game works. The run game works. Ryan Grubb knows how to dial up the run game. Average yards per carry. We're talking really what? A 5.3, 5.6 yards per carry average from your 4 top carriers? Come on, chat. Come on, family. We fast forward to 2021. Ryan Grubb, second year, full-time play caller. Full-time play caller. Second year at Fresno State. You see the games, the numbers, the offensive numbers that you see on this. And this game at Wyoming, you got to imagine in Wyoming it's probably cold. They probably ran the ball more than they were used to. They probably slowed the game down, right? But you look everywhere else. You look at these numbers across the board. Look at the passing. And this is Fresno State. We're not talking about athletes that you get at Alabama. We're talking about Fresno State type of athletes. No shade. But you don't usually get your 4 and 5 stars at Fresno State. And these numbers, as far as the scoring they were putting up, let's look at some of the stats. 4,000 yard passer. Another 50% plus. You're talking 67% completion rate. 490 attempts. I think Jalen Milroe only had 200 attempts last year. Touchdown to interception ratio, second year in the system as a play caller, you kind of get a good feel of what you're dealing with at the quarterback. You look at the success there. Now let's take a look at the season before Kalen DeBoer and staff arrived at Washington. We see this offense was not explosive. They were very conservative. If you ever watched Washington before Kalen DeBoer arrived, they had a system. We know that they were very prestigious and lived and died by the effectiveness of their defense. They had explosive offenses, once every blue moon, but this was not an explosive offense. So Kalen DeBoer was an attractive target because of his offensive system, and they wanted to see could he revamp the Washington Huskies offensive look. Now we jump to 2022. Michael Penix comes in as a transfer. You see them go and get some guys out of the portal, because this is the portal period, right? Look at how the numbers jump under Ryan Grubb, Kalen DeBoer's system, Ryan Grubb's play calling, and the assets that they had available. People were not raving about Michael Penix before the start of this season, right? Nobody was really talking about Washington. Everybody was talking about Kalen DeBoer getting a new job, but nobody was really talking about how good they would look. And this team that goes to the schedule. This team goes in under Ryan Grubb play calling. And we look at the 2022 season. Look at the numbers. Their 2 losses come in shootouts. Their defense struggled massively. They lose 2 early season games. They finish out 7-2 in the conference. They go to the bowl game. And this is when Washington gets put on the map. They go and they defeat Steve Sarkisian in Texas. And now people are talking about him. Now we go to 2023. Let's look at their schedule before we jump to the stats. I just want y'all to look at the numbers. Look at the scores there. 56, 43, 41. And we can say, oh, it's the conference. Da, 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 da. I don't care. This is football. You still put up 36 against an Oregon team in a Dan Lanning SEC style defense that caught that conference by surprise. You still put up 36 against them. Your struggle game is against Arizona State. I believe it was like a rainy game or something. These close games, they find a way to win close games. It's offensive play calling. I think this 4-2-5 scheme now is a better balanced scheme to offset the offense. Now let's go look at the stats from that 2023 national championship appearance year. Michael Penix, almost 5K yards passing. Once again, look at the completion percentage, touchdown to interception ratio. Look at the sacks. Look at the protection. Being able to get the ball out 500 times in a season is amazing. The running back room was very young, so Dylan Johnson, an experienced SEC running back, was your bell cow. And look at his production. Look at the average yards per carry for every running back behind it. Again, if I was to average this out for your 3 primary carries, guys that had carries for this offense, it would be close to the 5.3 yards per carry. So this offensive scheme creates holes with the pin and pull system for guys to have explosive runs, and explosive runs in the run game is for better. I look at their top 3 carry guys, the top 3 backs that have carries, and they're averaging over 4 yards per carry. We're exposing Ryan Grubb right now. His offensive play calling at the collegiate level can be classified as elite. We can classify this as elite. Now, during this year, this is the last year that Coach Ryan Grubb was a play caller at the collegiate level, 2023 with the Washington Huskies. You look at the averages. Let's look at the total points per game, 36 points per game. Last year, that would have ranked number 3 in the nation as far as Power 5 conferences. And that would have been number 2 of your top 25 ranked teams. Number 2, second to Ohio State. Total points, 540. I can't remember the ranking. Total touchdowns, 69. Total first downs, 345. The efficiency stats are what amaze me here. 76 or 173 on third down. 40% conversion rate on third down is amazing. Your target is usually 33%. You want to convert 1 of every 3. And I wanted to expose this because there was a lot of doubt saying that the West Coast style of play calling would not work in the SEC. Let's do something. I'm going to do y'all a solid, and I'm going to go to the Alabama stats from last year. We're going to look at the numbers under play caller coach Nick Sheridan using Coach Kalen DeBoer's philosophy. I want to show you some numbers under Coach Nick Sheridan, first year play caller at this level, and Coach Kalen DeBoer's system with assets that didn't necessarily fit the philosophy, but we made adjustments and still had a productive, inconsistent but productive year. Jalen Milroe, almost a 3,000-yard passer. Similar numbers from last year with his passing. I think he had maybe 300 more yards passing. I said this earlier, and look at the completion percentage. It's hard to believe that he had that nice of a completion percentage with this touchdown to interception ratio. If you go back to the 2018 year, when they had a young quarterback in the system who was just learning the system, the numbers were similar. Even with the sacks, the numbers were similar. Look at the rushing numbers. Jalen Milroe is a rare commodity when it comes to these numbers. But I have reason to believe that if Jam Miller had 145 carries and Jalen Milroe, the quarterback, had 168, and I think this staff had aspirations of utilizing all 3 backs in the run game last year. And I truly believe this year, with Ryan Grubb having a experience factor going for him, when it comes to being a play caller at the collegiate level, we saw the numbers at every level consistently, no matter what the conference was, no matter what assets were available. You give this duo an opportunity to develop guys in the system, in their philosophy, in their system, they produce numbers. So Ryan Grubb, you've been exposed. You're an elite offensive coordinator. I don't think we missed it by a long shot by bringing you in and keeping Nick Sheridan on board to keep that cohesiveness and the camaraderie of the locker room and the staff together. College football, if you thought Coach Kalen DeBoer was dangerous at Washington with Ryan Grubb, and if you thought that Washington offense that Ryan Grubb had the keys to was dangerous with the assets they had available at Washington, just wait until you see what this 2025 Alabama team is going to do. Let me know what you think about Ryan Grubb being hired as Alabama's offensive coordinator and what that looks like for Alabama's future. Remember, I'm your boy Smook here on the Coach Smook Network. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed. And if you're enjoying more of this content, leave a comment. And when you see me in the streets, holla at me and say, put me in the game, Coach Smook. I'll catch you on the next one. Roll Tide.